Welcome back to Tarot by the Bay. I'm David. It's St. Patrick's Day. This is my third reading today. This one's going to be a new one as opposed to a recap of soundless old ones. Today we're going to talk about Silicon Valley Bank and the bank industry in general. I live pretty much up the street and across the pond from a bunch of Silicon Valley banks, or Silicon Valley in general. Back in, was it 2010, 2012? In that era, there were regulations that were put on banks in response to the Great Recession we had in 2008. And the regulations were basically to try and keep the banks from being greedy and then, taking down the economy and almost the country with them. Too big to fail, as you might recall. Well, in 2018, 2020, the Republicans undid those regulations. And now we're having some issues with the banks, with Silicon Valley Bank, another bank that deals with crypto. They're starting to, they're collapsing. And, some governments are coming in, like Switzerland's coming in to cover Credit Suisse and their issues. And a bunch of other banks are now apparently redoing their balance sheets. So what I want to find out from Spirit is, what is the lesson we're supposed to learn from this? How big? Well, maybe I'll ask, how big is this problem? And then I'll ask Spirit what we're supposed to be learning from this. And I might, for fun, just throw on Kyrsetn Sinema, because she was one of the Democrats who actually voted to get rid of the regulations and has done a lot of things that seem to represent elite, powerful people and not everyday people. Okay, so how big is this problem? What does Spirit want us to know about Silicon Valley Bank and the other banks that have collapsed and the banking industry? Is this a big problem that's coming up, or is this going to be isolated and contained? Okay, there's some victory here. Does that victory mean that they're going to be able to successfully contain this? And it involves money. Okay, so it's a victory and a celebration involving large amounts of money. So I was asking, what is this going to be a big problem or a small problem? This would indicate to me that it's going to be resolved before it becomes a big problem. Okay, so in the past, we've got action going forward in a very considered way. So I think we're actually in the future at this point, because this is not the present that we're looking at here. I think basically the regulatory bodies that are in the governments that are looking into this are coming up with a plan, and they're going to go they're going to go forward slowly with that plan. They're not going to rush into this. They're going to do some careful consideration. I might back up on that. This could be about 2010. You know what? I'm going to back up on this one. You know what this is really talking about? This was talking about the original regulations being put in place, and that was a victory. Or no. I'm going to back up on that one again. I'm sorry, I'm all wishy-washy here. This is the victory in getting rid of the regulations. It allowed for the banks to make lots of money. That's what this is. And this was a plan that was put in place step by step to get the victory that they needed so that they can make the money. That's what's happening here. And the current situation is, now the banks are needing to be bailed out again. That's what we got here. This makes a lot more sense to me. Yeah, so the current situation is now, here come the government, here comes the taxpayers to bail out the banks, the poor banks that made some mistakes, got greedy, made mistakes. What's the overarching energy? Knight of Cups. Okay, so this is now, the banks going to the government and asking for help because they've overextended themselves again. Hopefully it's not a huge overextension. But mind you, when I say going to the government for help, what I'm really saying is having us pay for it, because that's what this is. I remember in 2008, the Republicans wanted banks and businesses to fail, just flat out fail, and teach them a lesson for doing that. It's kind of like cutting off your nose to spite your face, but there is some validity to it. You let some things fail so that other companies behave themselves better because the risk is greater. But the compromise for that is to put in the regulations so that there's guardrails on that. Lesson to be learned is the chariot. Things were... The chariot is about things happening going forward. I don't think this is a chariot as in we're in an out-of-control state. Time will tell on that one. This could very well be reversed and things are out of control. But I think what this really is that the government or the regulators are going to be stepping in to take control. Yeah, that makes more sense, because what's happening is the government's taking over the banks. On the banks that are failing, the governments are taking over. They're not letting the bankers who've brought themselves to the brink get themselves out of it. They're just saying, nope, we're done. We're taking it over. You're out of here. And some people are going to be left out in the cold. Some people are going to lose their money over this. And I think the ones losing the money are the ones that took the biggest risks. But that's, it's what happens when you take the guardrails off. It's kind of like trickle down economics doesn't work, because the money gets funneled upwards, and then people who see that money go after it, and it's the greedy sociopaths that are the most successful at getting into the positions to get to that money. So ultimately who you're impacting are greedy sociopaths, and they don't care about the rest of the population because they're sociopaths and they're greedy. So that's who the regulations fight against. Overall, it's all about the money. It's about intergenerational money and lots of money. So the reason why these regulations got taken down is that the people with lots of money wanted to keep their money. They wanted to keep it for themselves, for their kids, and for their grandkids. They want to keep it in the family. That's how oligarchies are made. And we need to undo it and take some of that money back from those people that unfortunately illegally made a bunch of money exploiting the system. We've got to stop that from happening. Okay, so that's the situation. Did that really tell us if this was going to get worse? It's going to get worse for some people. That 5 of coins, we're not out of it yet. More banks are going to fail. People are going to get hurt. Is this a big problem? Might be. It might be. I don't know yet. I don't know the answers to that. I'll throw a little 4-cutter on that one. Is this going to be a big problem? Is this going to affect a lot of average hardworking people rather than just the elites? Is this going to impact average hardworking people? Is this going to be a big problem impacting average hardworking people? Yeah. Okay. Right there. There's an art to picking these cards. Strong emotions. Big actions need to be taken. People aren't in their right minds. And there's going to be truth. Does that really answer it? And it's this is not answering my question. What this is saying is, well, yeah, this is going to impact people. Ace of Cups. This is, it's strong. It's going to hurt average people. Again, maybe it's people that invented in crypto. Actually, who this is going to hurt? This is going to hurt people that who've extended themselves or who have overextended themselves. They're going to be in a world of pain between the inflation that we've got, the rising interest rates, and now banks aren't going to have money to help fuel business. That's going to slow some businesses down or new startups down. It's always going to be, it all flows downstream, right? Ultimately it's not the wealthy that pay, it's the poor, it's the working people that pay. So it's a strong emotion. Why? Because people weren't in their right minds They were only looking at the positives. They weren't looking at the whole picture. And now big decisions need to be made and enacted. And these are going to be good decisions, but they'll probably be painful. But it's decisions that needed to be made. We've got to fix this, because if you don't fix it, you're doomed to repeat it again, and it'll be worse the next time. So I'm sorry. My interpretation of these cards that Spirit's showing me is that, yeah, it's going to get worse, and yes, it's going to impact, the average person on the street, not just Wall Street. Sorry. Take steps to protect yourself. I'm not saying make a run on the banks, but if you have a way to, put off some purchases, maybe pay down some debt, or build a nest egg to help you with your bills, I would go ahead and do that. Okay, most people are living paycheck to paycheck, and so it's extremely difficult to do that. But if there's any type of luxury item or non-necessity, basically back to basics. Keep things basic, keep things simple, put off bigger purchases, and try until we can get through this stage, and the banks can and the financial institutions are selling out. Okay, that's my guidance to you. You can take that to the bank. I'll be here all week. Try the veal tip your hostesses. Okay, dad jokes. Sorry. I lose half my subscribers with that one. Okay, so asking if this is going to get worse. Okay, so I want to know what's the spiritual message. Why are we doing this again? We just went through this in 2008. What does Spirit want us to know about this situation? This one wants to stay on top. Okay, find out. Got to make tough choices. When I was, back to basics type of vibe, you got to make tough choices, and they've got to be intellectual. They can't be heartfelt. It's just like, hey, you know what? We're not going to Disneyland this year. Sorry, just not happening. That type of thing. You had your heart set on it, or you're going to buy yourself a new car, but car prices are crazy, both new cars and used car prices. Then we're just not getting one. We're just going to make do. Yeah, there's going to be disappointment in that, but in the end of the day, this is about setting yourself up to be in a better position in the future at the sacrifice of short-term benefits now. I'll do a 6-carder on this one. The challenge is the tower, because the financial system is collapsing again. Maybe I don't know if the economy is going to go down or the stock market's going to go down, but people's finances are going to probably be thrown into a bit of turmoil. Between with inflation being high, and the Fed raising interest rates to slow down the economy, having the banks having extended themselves with risky loans, again, investing in crypto, and just doing stuff that was reckless, it's going to impact our society, and it's going to call topsy-turviness. So what Spirit is saying is you're going to have to make some hard decisions, because we're going to be in some tumultuous times. In the past, winner take all. Again, Spirit wants us to know that I was talking about sociopaths, narcissism, sociopaths kind of run parallel with each other. There are people that are only out for themselves, and they don't care about anybody else. They don't care about sharing. They don't care about compromise. It's all about them. And we're going back to that way of thinking. We're not working as a collective, as a team. We're going back to individual thinking. And this type of individualism, I got mine and screw the other guy, is causing this problem to happen yet again. Taking advantage of people, things like that. Current situation, there's that Chariot again. Interesting. So the Chariot was, the government's taking over. This is going to continue. Maybe that this could be that the change is coming that we need to address this, but this problem isn't going to stop. It's going to keep rolling forward. The trick is, can we keep it rolling forward under control rather than rolling forward out of control? Okay, so And also with the cherry, you can think of as taking control of your finances, taking control of your financial situation, control your spending. You can't always control your revenues coming in, or your salary, or your wage is your wage, but you can control the money going out to some degree. Help each other out. If you've got a little bit of extra and you've got somebody in your life that you care for that's struggling a little bit, reach out, see if you can help them. Band together. Maybe, this is the lovers is as an example. Let's say you're going grocery shopping and 18 eggs are maybe not the best example the way egg prices have been. Let's say eggs are $5 a dozen, and you can get 18 eggs for $6. An extra dollar gets you another half dozen eggs. Maybe you consider buying those eggs for $6 and then splitting it with a neighbor, and you each get 9. And that way you get most of what you need, and you save a little bit of money, especially if your neighbors goes in halvesies with you. So figure out ways that you can help each other out, and just to get through this, just to ride through this. You're not talking forever. This might be a 6-month to 12-month process that we're looking at here. The lesson to be learned, the Four of Wands, is that your relationships with others, and this goes with the Lover's card, your relationships are important. You don't hold a wedding. The Four of Wands is a wedding card. You don't hold a wedding for the presents you're going to get. You hold the wedding to celebrate with family and friends the union of these two people. And people focus on the presents, but that's not what it's supposed to be about. So I think in some way Spirit wants us to, again, lovers, they want us to come together, band together, and help yourself through this process. This too shall pass, but it's not going to pass yet. The outcome, Queen of Pentacles, being sensible with your money. I think especially during COVID, when people couldn't buy anything, and they had a bunch of money up, and then all of a sudden they're buying cars, they're buying houses. They went crazy because they've been locked in the house, and they just went crazy. And there were supply chains. There was a lot of greed going on too with corporations. When they found out they could blame supply chains and then jack up prices, and people wouldn't hit the streets protesting, they did that. And that's going to break the economy. That's going to cause this problem because there's just a lot of greed out there. This is going to be hard. This is going to be hard on a lot of people. This is a burden that we have to bear, though, because we helped create it. So we're going to have to help undo this. Take the time, evaluate your finances, make sure that you're being sensible with them. Help people out, because it's going to be on us to help each other out. This is going to go on for a while, but not forever, but it's going to go on for a while. Don't be selfish. Think of others on this. Again, think of others. This is going to happen pretty quickly, but it's an undoing that has to happen. We've gone the wrong way, and we're just going to have to make some hard decisions going forward on that. Okay. So there's your message on that. Lastly, just for gossipy fun, because as Auntie Lena says, too much news, not enough gossip. Kyrsetn Sinema. Mr. Gallego, who's running against her, is certainly bringing this up and putting it right back in her face because she voted to get rid of these regulations. How is this going to impact Kyrsetn Sinema? A little four-carder. How will this impact Kyrsetn Sinema, this situation? You want to stay on top, do you? Okay, fine. We're going to put you right there. Sometimes the cards kind of pop up as I'm doing that overhand shuffle. One will pop up, pop up, pop up. Okay, you're telling me you want to be there. Okay, she's at a crossroads. She needs to decide, Democrat, independent. Am I for the people or for the elites? She can't. The thing is, she's on record. She can't not say she can't say, oh, I'm against I'm against free markets. I'm for regulation. She can't say that. She's already on the market. So now she's kind of stuck. She's in no man's land. She's going to have to make choices, and probably neither one of them is particularly good. This is her in the past, happy with her choices. These are the wealthy people supporting her that were basically, we'll give you money. You make the decision we would like. And, she was the star. You think about it, her and Joe Manchin being in the center, really what they were doing was they were selling their vote to the highest bidder. There's no political alignment with those two. It was, if we're in the center, we're going to get a lot of people lobbying us one way or another, offering stuff for our constituents, offering self-enrichment, offering money for our elections. So, she tried to put herself in a position where she could play both sides to make the money. And this is the elite side of things. She got what she wanted. But now, Queen of Cups, now she has to keep the emotions on things. Really, she has to make a decision. Does she maintain the elites, or is she going to keep like a low profile? She's stuck. She doesn't know which to do. She feels like she's not the victim in this. She's not the victim in this. You did this to yourself. You're better off having a political ideology and sticking to it. For as many people as to get grumpy with AOC or the Squad or something like that, at least you know who they represent. You know who they stand for. The Katie Porters of this world make it really clear who they stand for. We could use a lot more Katie Porters in this world. That is for darn sure. Okay. Well, that's my view on the financial crisis. It's going to be going on for a while. Take care of yourselves. Try and make your financial situation better. Things are going to get rough for a while. Help out friends or neighbors as you can to help them get through this as well, because we're going to need each other to get through this. Okay. I hope you have a great night. Have a good weekend. Thank you for watching this. Give it a thumbs up. Share it. Throw comments out there. And I look forward to seeing what you think about these videos. All right. Have a great night. Bye-bye.